and they're still struggling just to survive. One more statistic. I think I heard a year or so ago, and this came from Mike Bloomberg's own figures. 45% of all New Yorkers are living either in poverty or near poverty. It's wrong. It doesn't make sense. It's not good. It's not efficient. Anything you want to say about it, it just shouldn't be. That so many people work so hard and want to work hard and are struggling just to survive every day. And that's especially true for retail workers whose jobs are precarious. Low-wage jobs, short-hours jobs, jobs without predictable schedules. It's tough. People have to work 2 jobs, and they still struggle just to survive. And then you get to on-call shifts. How many people here have worked on-call? And you know what that means. It means you have to make yourself available in case the employer wants you to work. And you don't even know if you're going to be working the next day, but you have to make yourself ready for it. You have to be prepared. Because if you're not available and you're called, you may never be called again. You may not work again. You have to be available. And what does that mean? It means that maybe you get up in the morning and you call in and you don't know whether or not you're going to have to report to work in an hour. You don't know when you're going to work. How do you arrange for child care? How do you schedule a second job if you want one? How do you get more education if you don't know what your schedule's going to be? And you've put your life on hold. And what do you get for that? Nothing. You're not compensated. You've had to do something. You have not been able to do other things. You've not been able to find another job. And you get nothing. Well, RAP and the RWDSU are going to be fighting to change that. We think that if people are on call, then they need to be compensated for that time as well, regardless of whether or not they're called into work. That's right. And I think it also creates a disincentive for employers to be so cavalier with other people's lives if there's going to be a cost to them. And so I hope that you will support us on that. And I can't come here and speak to all of you and not mention the car wash workers. Car wash workers in New York, there are about 5,000 of them working at about 200 car washes in the city. Most of them are immigrants, undocumented immigrants. And what does that mean? The employers figure they have no power, that they live in the shadows, that the employers can get away with anything they want. They're paid a sub-minimum wage. People are sometimes paid $4 an hour. They work with caustic chemicals, and they don't even know what they are or what damage they're going to do, and they're given no protective equipment at all, not even a lousy pair of gloves. Nothing. And their wages are stolen too. $4 an hour, and the employers are not even paying them that. They're keeping the wages. Wage theft. Taking from the people who need it the most. Well, my union, the RWDSU, felt that it was important to stand with the car wash workers. And we did that for a few reasons. One, because these people deserve to be treated better. They're hardworking, and they should not be ignored. They should not be invisible. And because we believe that if undocumented car wash workers can organize than anybody in this city can organize. And so far, we've conducted 9 elections, and we've won 9 elections. And at every car wash that we've organized, we've gotten a contract that has made a difference in people's lives. Even their tips were stolen. You put money in a tip jar, the managers would keep a lot of that money too. And people, if they want to go home to their home country, it's tough to be over here. Someone may have passed away. They want to go home. They want to see their family. We make sure when they come back that they've got a job, and that they've got a job earning more with vacation, time off, better wages, better treatment, and dignity on the job. And today, at noon, we're going to be holding an election for our 10th car wash in Brooklyn. And we feel pretty good about that. And another reason that campaign is important, because we're doing it in partnership with 2 community groups, Make the Road New York and New York Communities for Change. It's a new way of organizing, and it's a new way of thinking about ourselves, that we have to create these coalitions. Just as individuals have to do things collectively, groups and constituencies and communities have to come together collectively as well. And sisters and brothers, I'm really thrilled to be here too, because I'm also a member of the LGBTQ community myself. And I know that for many members of our community, especially those who work in retail, there are additional challenges. People have enough barriers to getting hired. Ridiculous things like credit checks that have no bearing on your performance on the job. All sorts of barriers in getting hired. And they should not have additional barriers to contend with based on their sexuality or gender identity being put into question. We all hear about the great success with marriage. And our achievements there. But no federal law consistently protects LGBTQ workers from employment discrimination. In more than half of the United States, workers can be fired for their gender identity or sexual orientation. Retail is a rapidly growing industry with many job opportunities, but because of a lack of structural protections, LGBTQ people can still face discrimination in employment, including being fired, being denied a promotion, and experiencing harassment on the job. And as a union person, I'd note that this not only has many negative impacts on individuals, but it also creates an additional barrier to organizing, which is the only way forward for all of us. You're going to hear today from RAP members at the Gap who have experienced wage freezes and have been denied promotion after promotion, all while training their supervisors to tell them how to do their job, just because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. We began this week commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, And Dr. King understood better than most that you cannot achieve civil rights, you cannot achieve racial justice without economic justice. The 1963 March on Washington was called the March for Jobs and Freedom. It does us no good to have the right to marry if we can't afford to make lives for ourselves and our families. We can't successfully demand our rights if we don't demand economic justice at the same time. For me, it comes down simply to this. Justice is indivisible. You cannot be for justice for some and not be for justice for all. And that includes justice for people of color, justice for women, justice for the LGBTQ community, and economic justice. And the only way we can achieve it is by forming broad alliances of labor and the LGBTQ community and the civil rights community and the women's movement and every other group who believes in a progressive agenda for society. I like to say to labor audiences that we have to think of ourselves differently. We can't just see us as ourselves as a labor movement. We have to see ourselves as the labor component of a broad progressive alliance. And I say the same thing to the LGBTQ community. We cannot just see ourselves as the LGBTQ community. We have to see ourselves as a voice for our community within a broad progressive alliance. So I want to thank you for being here today. Your presence is important.